Today, you are going to learn 2 ways that you can sound more intelligent when you speak. Whether it's in meetings or whether you're asking a question, it's just going to make you come across a lot better. The first thing I want to teach you is, how do you speak on the spot? How do you answer a question, so you sound intelligent? So, let's say you are asked a question. Can you tell? This is a very simple example. Can you tell me your favorite place in the world? Okay, and my answer goes something like this: yeah, I've traveled a lot. There are so many places I've seen in the world. I was in Saudi Arabia just now. Great place. Before that, I was in Mexico. Great culture, great food there. Great weather. I like that a lot. And then I was also traveling a lot in the US. And they're all, really good places, and, I enjoyed them a lot. Now, that wasn't a bad answer, but it wasn't a great answer either. Could you notice I was all over the place? Here, there, and I didn't quite know what the start was, what the end was. Did you even know what my answer was? Probably not. Now, let me ask you this: have you ever heard someone talk like this? Have you ever spoken like this? Because I know I have. So, how do we assess the quality of this answer? You can tell that I am verbalizing my thoughts out loud. So I don't quite know what I'm saying. So, if this is me, right, I don't know what's in my head right now. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say all that stuff out in complete gibberish, and then I hope that I find what it is I'm saying. In other words, I speak before I think about what I'm going to say. Now, why is this an issue? It's an issue because when I start speaking and I start talking, let's say I talk for about 5 minutes, right? And you, as a listener, you are listening to all this garbage, you are thinking, what the heck is this guy saying? You have to listen to all of this, then you have to somehow unscramble all of this and find what it is I'm talking about, understand what I'm talking about, and also formulate a good answer to a question you don't quite understand. Can you see what the issue is? The issue is taking unprocessed thoughts and just throwing them out there. So, you don't want to do that. Instead, what you want to do, and write this down as a rule in general, this is what I tell all of my clients. Before you verbalize, you have to do something called organizing your thoughts. So, you organize before you verbalize. This is going to go right in my new book coming out, Organize Before You Verbalize. What does this mean? Before you open your mouth, organize the thoughts in your head. How do you do that? I'm glad you asked. I call this my AAA format. This is how it works. Okay, you got 3 A's. You got an A here, an A here, and an A here. Let's take this question again: what is your favorite place? The first thing I'm going to do before I even answer is I'm going to think. If the answer comes to you immediately, that's fine, but take the time to think, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. And this has a huge impact on how you come across. So, let's say, James, what's the best place you've ever been to? The best place that I've ever been to has to be. Can you see how me just taking some time to think made you feel like I listened to your question? I was actually thinking about a good response. I formulated my thoughts, and then I gave you an answer. As opposed to, James, what's your favorite place on the planet? Oh, I love Dubai. I just went into it right away. And now you're thinking, wait, is this actually how he thinks? So, you want to think first. Take about 3 to 5 seconds or more. You've seen people like Elon Musk take up to 30 seconds to pause, take time to think. Now, this is the important part, you are going to just pick one answer. One answer. This is for the sake of practice, just so you understand it. If you have multiple answers, there are different ways to do it, but pick one single answer. So, let's say my favorite place in the world is New York. That is my answer. Okay, so I'm going to think. Yasser, what's your favorite place? My favorite place is New York. That is the first sentence. Why is this important? It's important because now you have direction. Now you know what it is you're talking about. Because if I'm thinking, oh, I like Dubai, I like Tokyo, I like London, I like all of these different places, you don't quite know what to talk about, and you're going in all these different places. So, now we have isolated, hey, I'm just going to talk about New York. So, in the first sentence, answer the question. Because the last thing you want is for someone to wait, what is the answer? What are you trying to say? Just give them the answer right away. Okay, so the first A is, answer the question. New York is my favorite place. The second one, the second A is, you add the details. Add the details. This is the real meat of your answer. Now, this could be reasons, story, example, maybe an analogy, anything like that. Okay, so I'll give you an example of these. James, what's your favorite place in the planet? Well, my favorite place has to be New York. First A, done. The reason it's my favorite place is because every time I go there, the city is so vibrant. It's so fast. I feel like this frenetic pace of the city, it makes me push myself as an entrepreneur. This is me adding a reason. Or I could give you a story, I love New York. The reason I love New York is the first time I went there to speak at a conference, and I didn't really know much about New York City. But once I got there, I met so many entrepreneurs that day 3 of whom became clients of mine, and one of whom gave me an entire tour of the city for the next 2 days. It was one of the most memorable experiences of my life. Now I've told you a story. Then I can go into an example. Example and story could be similar. A friend of mine, he told me that New York City has the best pizza. That's why I love New York City. Or an analogy, New York City is where you go if you want to be successful, because if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. I'm adding details in here. This is the real meat of it. Okay, so now I've answered the question. I'm going to add meat. Now, if you want to be a little bit more structured here, you don't always have to do this. You'll see me do this a lot, I just number what I'm going to talk about. So, for example, my favorite place in the world has to be New York, and there are 3 main reasons for that. The first one, second one, third one. So, first one could be pizza. Second one could be the pace. The third one could be some plaza. I just came up with that because I wanted 3 P's, and it's easier to say that way. But you know what I mean. So I love New York because of 3 reasons. Number 1, the pizza. I absolutely love the pizza. It's the best pizza in the world. Thin crust pizza is the way to go, and there's no better place in New York to have it. 2, the second reason I love it is because of the pace. It's so fast. And now you just go into that. The added advantage of this is when you number things, it's a structure. And just by saying the number, it sounds like you've thought about it before. Where if I said, yeah, there are many reasons I like New York, okay, sure. But if I said, there are 3 reasons I like New York, now it sounds like you've said it before. If you've said it before, you have credibility and expertise. But don't worry about this if it's too complicated. When you're just practicing, pick one. Okay? Pick one answer, pick one reason, or a story, whatever comes to mind. And then at the end, you want to answer and acknowledge again. Why do you answer it again if you've already answered it here? Because many people, when they speak and they add details, they don't quite know where to stop. They keep going on and on and on and on and on. Next thing you know, they've ended their speech or their answer 1,000,000 times, and they're still going. So, at the end here, you will just say what you said here. So, for example, James, what is your favorite place on the planet? My favorite place has to be New York. The reason is 1, 2, 3. Now, when I want to end it, I'll say, so that's why New York is my favorite place in the world. When I say that, there's no doubt in your mind that I'm done talking, simply because you heard the exact same thing I said at the start. I've closed the loop. So you just transition into that. So, because of those 3 reasons, I love New York. Or, so that's why, when I think of my favorite place in the world, New York is the only one that comes to mind. I'm closing that answer. So, at the end, you are going to answer that question again. So recap, someone asked a question. You answer the question, add the details, and then you answer again. Now, this isn't the case. You're in an interview, you're on a panel, you have to do it on the spot. Speech. This is amazing. If you're at work in a meeting, only start from here. Don't give them all the details right away. So, hey, what's the update on this project? You're not going to say, the update of this project is that it's not done yet. It's going to get done by the 19th. The reason it's not done is because of XYZ reason. So that's why it's not done. Feels a bit weird. You can just say it in one sentence. The project isn't done yet. It's expected to get done by the 19th. Do you want me to give you some more details? If they say yes, then you go into the next one. And then you finish it off like so. So, you want to be context dependent. If you have more time allotted to you, you have to speak in front of people, then add more details. Fill in the time. With this one, you can go anywhere from 2 to 30 minutes. I've done entire workshops using just this one. You can have one 10-minute segment of it, and you can have 3 of those, and that will be an entire 30-minute. Keynote, I've done this many, many times. You just pick one topic, add the details, make a point, and close it. You can use this structure to speak on the spot wherever you go. How to practice speaking on the spot. To practice this, you can use ChatGPT or a random question generator. Ask it, hey, give me a random question. I want to practice this structure. For example, if the question is, what's your favorite thing to eat? You could respond, my favorite thing to eat is pizza. The reason I love pizza is that it's so delicious, it's quick, it doesn't cost a lot of money, and I can find it anywhere in the world. That's why pizza is my favorite food. Note, Pizza is definitely not a fruit, it's the furthest thing from fruit. You get my point, though. By practicing this regularly, answering questions on the spot like in interviews or unexpected situations will eventually become second nature to you. The 3 A's. When you're speaking on the spot, use the 3 A's. 1. Answer the question clearly. 2. Add details, story, examples, or reasons. 3. Acknowledge the question again to close your response. Asking intelligent questions. Now, imagine you're asking someone for advice, clarity, or trying to sound intelligent with the questions you ask. Here's where people often struggle. For example, I was at a conference hosted by a very famous entrepreneur. People paid a lot of money to attend this workshop, and each participant could realistically ask only one question. The person next to me got up and rambled. Hey, so, I have a business, and I've been doing this business for a long time. I'm really passionate about it. So, we have this side of the business, and we have that side of the business. We're trying to get our business from here to there. Actually, let me back up. So in 2019, my wife was pregnant, and then he just kept going. You could see people's faces thinking, what is the point? What are you trying to ask? Key lesson. Your intelligence is often judged by the quality of your questions. How to ask questions using the AAA format. 1. Ask your question in one sentence. What is your question? Be clear and concise. Example, yeah sir, how do I overcome my speaking anxiety? 2. Add context or details. After stating your question, provide relevant context, such as a story, reasons, or examples. Example. James, how do you overcome your fear of public speaking? I ask because last week I had a presentation to deliver. My heart was beating out of my chest, my palms were sweaty, my mouth was dry, and I didn't feel very confident. 1. Ask for what you want specifically. Clearly state what you want from the person, so they understand how to help you. Example. What steps can I take to feel more confident the next time I speak in public? What not to do. Here's an example of how not to ask a question. James, so, here's the thing, I do a lot of presentations, and, I don't know what happens, but like, for example, I had this speech about the environment that I was doing. And for some reason, whenever I speak, my heart starts racing, and my palms are sweating and I'm not really sure So in your opinion, how do I, become more confident and speak in a way that, What is the question? There's too much fluff, making it hard to follow. Why the AAA format works. When you use the AAA format, you make your question easy to understand. Show thoughtfulness and clarity. Increase your chances of getting a precise and helpful answer. So, the next time you're speaking on the spot or asking a question, remember the AAA format. With practice, it will feel natural, and you'll leave a strong impression every time. If you ask me, how do I get over my fear of public speaking? I might give you techniques to calm your breath, preparation tips, advice on being present in the moment, or suggestions on whether to use notes. Can you see how many different directions I could go with my answer? To get the most helpful response, be specific about what you want. For example, James, how do you get over your fear of public speaking? I ask because last week I felt extremely nervous before presenting. What recommendations do you have to calm my nerves? What do you think I should do to feel more confident and less anxious on stage? How do I prepare so I can be more confident during my speech? How do you recommend structuring a presentation to avoid blanking out? Each of these questions leads me in a different direction, allowing me to tailor my response to your specific concern. The importance of being specific. When you ask a question, begin with the theme or main idea. Then, provide just enough context or details for me to understand, not your entire life story. This can all be done in less than a minute. Finally, ask specifically for what you want. The first and last parts of your question can be the same, but the more specific you are, the better I can help. For example, someone might say, "James, amazing workshop. What advice do you have for me?" This is vague advice about what? Public speaking. Life in general. My response might be, eat clean and exercise. A more specific version could be, what advice do you have for me regarding public speaking? Even better, when it comes to public speaking, I struggle with nerves. What advice would you give to feel more calm and confident before presenting? The more context you provide, the easier it is for me, or anyone, to give valuable and actionable advice. AAA, how to ask the right question when asking questions. Follow the AAA format. 1. Ask the question in the first sentence. Clearly state your question as briefly as possible. 2. Add context. Provide relevant details or background to help clarify your question. 3. Ask specifically for what you want. Clearly articulate what you're seeking. Example. James, how do I remove when I speak? I ask because in meetings, I've been told that I use them a lot, and it's distracting for others. What technique would you recommend to reduce filler words? Can you see how clear and easy that is to understand? The question is concise, provides context, and asks specifically for a technique. Organize before you verbalize if you want to sound intelligent and create value in your interactions. Take time to organize your thoughts before speaking. When you don't, it comes across as lazy thinking. You're essentially throwing your unprocessed thoughts at someone, expecting them to untangle and process them for you. Instead, take a moment to process your thoughts. Structure, organize them in a logical way. Speak, deliver your message with clarity and purpose. When you organize before you verbalize, you project confidence, intelligence, and professionalism.